Hey guys, welcome back to the Soul Aligned Self-Care Podcast. We are in part 2 of this series that I'm doing on the podcast here for people that are feeling kind of stuck right now. And last week we talked about reframing that stuck feeling and how it's not a failure, but it's just like this signal or sign to move. And so if you're past that point of just noticing that you're stuck, and if you're now in that kind of restless stage, if you're feeling like, oh my God, if I don't change something soon, I'm going to lose my mind, then this episode is your next step, because now comes the big question: how do you actually move? So the answer is probably a lot smaller than you think. And today I'm going to share the simple, gentle method that I'm using myself to step into massive life change without blowing everything up. Let's get into it. You're listening to the Soul Aligned Self-Care Podcast. I'm your host, Tina Stinson, and I had a stroke at the age of 39 from stress and burnout that shook my world. Now I'm laying it all out, the deep level self-care practices and mindset shifts that I needed that kept me healthy, balanced, and thriving. Join me in this intimate space as we explore healing, resilience, and the soul's journey to alignment. This is where real conversations about deep-level self-care happen. Let's get into it. Hey guys, welcome back. This is part 2 of, for lack of a better term, the Stuck series. Or you're stuck, so what do you do now? And today I'm going to talk about some of the tiny, brave little steps that you could take to finally move out of your comfort zone without like blowing up your whole life, okay? There's a very specific flavor of stuck that hits us around this time of the year, and I talked about it a little bit in the last episode, so if you haven't listened to that one, I would go back and listen to that one first. But it's kind of like this restless, kind of buzzy feeling, like almost a little bit of a panic, and you're kind of saying to yourself, if I don't change something soon, I'm just going to lose my mind. Like, so you've had it. You're like past that point of caring how uncomfortable change will be. You're going to do it anyway. So if that's you, that's good. That discomfort is your momentum. Grab it. Just grab it and use it. Your soul right now is too big for the life that you're living in, and you need to change something. And we all kind of feel this when it gets towards the end of the year and the beginning of a new year. It's kind of this perfect container, not because like January is magic or the beginning of a new year is magic. It's just like this social construct of like a new year, the term that makes me kind of gag a little bit is like new year, new you, right? But a lot of people do reset this time of year. I do a lot of thinking on my birthday. So I have like this whole ritual I do like on my birthday where I ask myself questions about like where I'm at, where I want to be. So I did this in October, really. But I do love the end of the year and the beginning of the new year, because you're going into winter, and winter is like a time of stillness. And I talked a little bit about this in the last episode, where you kind of have this space to really think about what you want and, do a lot of journaling, which I'm going to give you so many journal prompts through this whole series that you could work on, to really start your year off aligned. Really, that's my goal for you with this series, is to help you start next year feeling like yourself, feeling aligned, and knowing the direction you want to go in. That's all. It doesn't have to be any like big goals or big things that you have to do. It's just about getting aligned with yourself. So your comfort zone isn't really safe. It's just familiar. And, as I said in the last episode, your brain's job is to keep you alive, not happy. And so staying safe in a very comfortable place is like your brain wants to keep you there because it's safe. That's it. But it's not necessarily good for you. And we kind of romanticize comfort like it's security, but it's really not. It's definitely not. Comfort is like a holding pattern, and I've been in a holding pattern for a while now. Anyone who knows me personally knows this. It's a place where you go when your nervous system is tired, overloaded, and afraid. And let's face it, this is where a lot of us are spending most of our time right now. This is like a very weird time in in the history of the world, so to speak, where a lot of people are just dysregulated right now because it's everything's kind of up in the air. Like none of our systems are working. Everything is new. Everything's changing really fast. And I feel like it's been that way since COVID, so since like 2020. And so I was like in this stuck pattern of safeness because the world doesn't feel completely safe to me, like if I'm really looking at it. But the new me is trying not to focus on that. I'm trying to focus on moving forward because, what are our options at this point? We could stay stuck and miserable, or we could move forward and just face the fear that we have to move into. It's kind of the new normal, I think. And so comfort definitely has a dark side. When you stay there too long, you start to shrink around your fears. And before you know it, your life is shrinking. Your life becomes really small, right? And if you're reading this, you're already too comfortable to stay where you are, right? You're interested in this, you're probably way too comfortable. You're ready to stretch, you're ready to like move forward, but you don't really want to snap. You don't really want to disrupt everything too much. You want to move into your next chapter. So what I'm here to tell you today in this episode is that you don't need to make a massive like overhaul before the new year, right? Most people wait for January 1st to change, and then they have this countdown, and they try to transform their entire identity in like 10 days, and then they're exhausted by mid-January. And this is not, I don't really like doing this. I do like planning my new year and thinking about what I'm going to move into, but that's not how I like to do it. You don't really need like a big like heroic leap. You don't need to make these big huge changes in order to create that momentum you need to move forward. You just need like tiny little baby steps, little brave steps. You do one, when you finish it, then you just do another. And the key really is consistency. Momentum is built, not like manifested, with consistency. So taking those tiny steps, if you do it once, it's not going to change much. But if you do one every week, it's going to, before you know it, your whole life is going to be unrecognizable. So what I'm calling this is like a stretch, but not a snap. So like the stretch, but don't snap, okay? So here's the simple process. Pick the smallest action that moves you towards the life that you want. So what do you want? So maybe journal on this a little bit. Like, what do you want the next year to look like, the next 5 years, the next 10 years? Think about some of the things that you want. And then pick the smallest action that moves you towards one of those things. And every day, ask yourself the question, what am I going to do today to move towards what I want? Okay? Small enough so that your nervous system doesn't revolt, you don't freeze, you don't get stuck in paralysis because it's terrifying. But you have to still expect a little bit of discomfort because it's something new, right? So not because you're doing something wrong. It's just because you're doing something real, something new, something different than usual. So the third step of this process is really, really important. And I believe this was defined in a couple of those habit books. I don't remember which one it was, so I'm not going to say the name of the books, but if you know the books I'm talking about. There's 2 very popular books about habits. But celebrate the micro wins like they're massive. So every time you have a little win, celebrate it, because your brain is literally wired to build confidence this way and momentum. So don't skip that step. And especially women. Women do not celebrate their wins. They just move on to the next thing. They're just trying to prove themselves constantly. And then you just repeat this. You pick a small action, expect discomfort a little bit, celebrate the win, repeat. Consistency beats intensity every single time, meaning if you're just doing this regularly, doing it once a week, it beats some big, huge leap that you would take that would be like disruptive and terrifying, okay? So some examples of tiny little brave steps. 5 minutes of journaling before you go to bed. Saying no to one draining thing every week. Doing something imperfect on purpose, meaning doing something before you're ready, okay? Exploring a creative impulse without trying to monetize it. Just doing something for fun, okay? Cleaning one corner of your house instead of overhauling your life, okay? So like I meet a lot of people like this in my coaching business where they feel like they have to change everything all at once. So if they're decluttering, they need to declutter their whole entire life, right? No, just do one little space, like one drawer in your desk, the medicine cabinet in your bathroom, the center console in your car, just one little space at a time. These things might look very insignificant to you, but they are like the scaffolding of a new beginning. And when you do these things with consistency over time, you create really big changes and positive forward movement in your life. Picture if you did one tiny thing every week for the entire year, right? That would be 52 things. 52 new things that you didn't do last year. Think about how much change would happen with that, even if they were small little things. So it's actually quite amazing. Like, maybe that's a journaling prompt that you could do. What is 52 things that I could do to move me towards the new life that I want to experience? It doesn't necessarily have to be a goal. It could be a feeling. I want to feel safe, comfortable. I want to feel inspired. I want to feel happy. I want to feel joyful. I want to feel at peace. So these are the things you want to create. How do you create those feelings? What are 52 ways you can bring more of those feelings into your life? I feel like that would be a fun journal prompt. I don't know. So I'm like in the middle of my own deep reset, changing. I'm moving to another state. I'm shifting my business. I'm embracing my creativity that I haven't really embraced for a long time. I'm stepping into like this new era with like equal parts, like high levels of fear for myself because I've been comfortable for so long, but I'm like equally excited. I am so freaking excited. And it's been a long time since I've been excited about something. So it feels really good. It feels, even though I'm terrified, it feels great. So I'm uncomfortable, but I'm also growing. And honestly, that is the point. So my question to you this week is, are you ready to take this shift with me? So here's something you could do. Try this now, between now and the new year. And if you keep following this series, there's going to be one more podcast. And then I'm moving into a journal prompt reset that I'm going to do in between Christmas and New Year's. So it's just going to be every day you get new journal prompts to ask yourself. And it's supposed to help you move into the new year feeling aligned and ready and just inspired to move into the next year. So ask yourself the question. So if we're going to journal again, just like I talked about in the last episode, get into a relaxed state, because journaling is like having a conversation with your higher self or your subconscious, right? But you can't do that unless you're in a relaxed, focused, like grounded state. So close your eyes down, take a few deep breaths, and when you feel your body let go a little bit, when you feel that relaxation kick in, that's when you start asking yourself the questions. So this is the question. What is the smallest possible move I can make this week that honors who I'm becoming? And you might even add, who do I want to become? What does she look like, act like? What does she do? What does her day look like? You could really expand on this whole journal prompt and get deep into it and come up with those possible moves. And for extra credit, you could do 52 little baby steps that you could take throughout the year that moves you into the feelings that you want to experience next year, So that would be a cool exercise. I think I'm going to do that one myself. So next week, we're going to talk about how to step into your upcoming year so that it actually supports your growth instead of pulling you back into old patterns, right? We all move back into those old patterns, but the key really is to recognize them and then just move out of it. No matter what I say to you and no matter what exercise I give to you in these 3 separate podcasts, you're still going to go back into those old patterns. But the key is just acknowledging it, recognizing it, acknowledging it, and then changing it in that moment. That's how we create change. You can't expect perfection. You can't expect to do one thing and everything to be changed when you've been like creating those habits for years and years and years, decades probably, right? So you have to just expect to fall into those old patterns. You don't beat yourself up because that's normal. And then you just say to yourself, what's something different I could do right now in this moment? And those little shifts, they create like a new pattern, so if you could picture like water, excuse me, flowing down like a river flowing, and you want the water to go in a different direction. So you start digging this little ditch. The water isn't just going to instantly go in the new direction. You're going to have to dig the ditch and dig it deeper and deeper and deeper until it's deeper than the original ditch, right? And then the water will start going that way. That's how we create new patterns. It isn't not instantaneous. It's a process that you have to do it. You have to go through the process. But with these little tiny baby steps consistently, it's not that much work. This is just a really easy way to do it. Okay, guys, until next week, I hope you have a good rest of your week, and I'll see you for part 3 next week. Okay, love you. Bye. Thank you so much for spending this time with me today. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe so you never miss a new one. And if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, I'd love it if you could leave a review. It helps get the show in front of more people who might need this type of support. And if you're ready to take your everyday self-care even deeper, come join us inside the Soul Aligned Life Patreon. Every week, you'll get new self-care practices and tools to help reduce stress and overwhelm. Plus, we do a monthly reset to keep you aligned and supported always. You'll find the link in the show notes, and I'd love to see you there. Until next time, be sure to take good care of yourself. Love you. Bye.